Yo.
What up? What up?
Ooh, what's going on, man? How's it go?
Dude.
Busy week.
It's always busy.
How you been doing, man? Yeah, good week. Yeah.
I've seen better days. Let's say that, as far as like work goes,
Yeah.
this is my favorite part of my work week.
Yeah.
And obviously I don't consider this work. We know we do put in work to this thing.
Yeah, for sure. But
this is always fun, man. And man, today before I came over here, I was finishing up work, and when your head is just like, I call it like scrambled, but it's like full.
Yeah.
Because you just got so much on your mind and stuff. And then I'm driving over here thinking like, man, like, is it gonna be good or whatever? But man, every time we get together, I'm just like, we just let loose.
We just talk shit.
Fucking,
thing, man. We just gotta keep doing what we do and just talk shit, man.
That's it.
It's funny, man. You sound like an old disgruntled like Western cowboy that's retired. You know how they're trying to pull him back to be sheriff?
I ain't going back.
You had that sound about you, like
chitty chitty bang bang.
Yeah.
I ain't going back.
man just sounded defeated, bro. I was like, damn.
Yeah, man. No, it was true, man. On the ride over here, bro, I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah,
but
I have weeks like that.
Yeah, and I've had weeks like that before. But since we made a commitment to this, it's like we just go. All right, I'm just gonna go, and then it always works out.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I always kind of tell myself when I get in those funks too is that I look forward to the hang, right? And so like I think about how am I gonna feel during and after, and I'm gonna love it. We're gonna laugh, we're gonna drink, we're gonna talk, we're gonna like even if it's a vent session, I'm like I'm gonna feel great like afterwards. And because I go, if we didn't do this, and I knew you were coming to hang because we were gonna go watch a fight and we were gonna think I'm like looking forward to it all day, right? So I'm just like I try not to take that part of it for granted. And so I'm like, even if you go, man, because we do put in work for this, we do try to like have some, give people a reason to listen, I guess. But at the end of the day, it's a hang, which is what makes it feel, cool, man. It is. I feel you, man.
All right, man. Yo, welcome back, everybody, to episode 138 of the Carbon Footprint Podcast. He is Juan, and I'm Sean, and every week we get together, have a few drinks, talk about things going on in the world, try to focus on things making an impact. Whether they be good, bad, or otherwise. Hit him with the concoction of the day.
Let's go, man. Listen, a.k.a. the Ginger Beer Hour. We are...
Sorry, I forgot. I need to add it to the intro.
Listen, Sean pulled out another thotty drink, man. This thing is delicious, bro. We got... It's our variation of tequila sunrise. We're going to call this the Carbon Sunrise. And it's a shot of Terramana tequila. Let's go. Shot of the clear Terramana tequila. We're going to do half a shot of this pomegranate liqueur called La Pinta. This is the second time I think we've done this. I think so, yep. This liqueur is amazing. So pomegranate liqueur.
And that one's made with agave.
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of just goes really good with the tequila.
Because I found that agave isn't overwhelming on the sweet side. Like, for whatever reason, no matter how sweet it is, it never feels like too syrupy or whatever. Like, I love the agave hit. So half a shot of that. And then whatever's left in the glass. So you're going to do that in a rocks glass filled with ice. You're going to squeeze in a quarter lime wedge. And then whatever's left in the glass, you're basically going to 50-50 with orange juice and ginger beer. And you're going to garnish with orange, I guess, half a wheel. Yep. And then the cherries from Old Smoky. Old Smoky cherries, man. These are moonshine soaked cherries. So even the cherry give you a little buzz. It's like a little shot afterwards. And then shout out, this week's drinks are actually brought to you by like fans of the show. People who listen, man. So we got to give a shout out to my uncle provided the cherries and they're delicious. So thank you, Uncle. My uncle Albert threw down. He provided these cherries, man. So I'm like, we gotta
thank you, Albert. They are delicious.
Yeah,
I've had about 4 of them already.
Yeah, man. I feel like I'm taking a shot every time I eat one. I'm like, ooh, that's gonna feel good later.
Yeah, man. And the tequila is brought to you by Jen. Jen, I didn't know she was even listening. Saw her for the first time in a long time, and she brought over a bottle. Said she was a fan of the show. And so shout out to you and thank you for the drinks.
Yeah, shout out to him, man. Thank you. So shout out to you guys providing. Listen, we need to make this a thing. Like, just send liquor. I'm always talking about sending drink suggestions. Screw it. Send liquor, guys.
Yeah, we'll make them.
Okay, we'll figure it out. But yeah, man, shout out to you guys. And that's cool, man. Yeah, you said, like, I don't even know. It always surprises me when I hear about somebody who listens and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't think, yeah. So,
yeah, and I've seen her for quite some time and like years. And she was like, oh, complimenting the show and just kind of asked me how we got started and stuff. And she was like, yo, like the drinks, those are dope. I brought you a bottle. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's amazing. We'll definitely use that.
Send a note to The Rock because we've been giving Terramana a lot of pushes. It's the fastest growing tequila in America right now, and I feel like
is that right?
We might have contributed to that. I'm just saying, Rock. We probably sold you like 6 bottles.
Man, you ain't gotta send money. Just send a case.
Just send a case of Terramana, yo. We're good.
All right, man. I'm gonna start off with my carbon footprint this week, and it is going out to Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi. Let's go.
For not getting fired again.
Shout out to all the mouths she got to feed.
So Whoopi's been in the news recently again for saying something that she wasn't supposed to say. Oh yeah, you're looking over there. Is the camera rolling?
That's what I'm looking at right
checking
now.
the camera.
You see the red dot? The red dot
means we rolling. All right, we done missed out on a couple of YouTubes because we messed up.
I'll be paranoid about that now. Yeah.
So what she said recently was she was talking about, I don't know exactly what she was talking about, but she mentioned Trump, and then she goes, Trump, when he felt like he got gypped out of the presidency.
Okay.
Dude, you see how you said I just said that and it didn't even do nothing to you? The word gypped. That's like a slur.
Gypped?
Yeah. So
really?
Yeah. So it means like it comes from gypsies.
Okay.
And so if you got gypped, what does that mean? If I tell you, yo, you got gypped,
you got ripped off.
You got ripped off, right? So that's because it came from that. It's insinuating that gypsies rip you off.
Yeah, but doesn't every word come from a variation of like we're gonna get to the point where you can't say anything?
Yes, and that was the whole thing. So Whoopi actually came to the defense of another weather woman down in Mississippi who got fired during while she was reporting on Snoop. Snoop has a new flavor wine.
Okay.
Actually, I shouldn't say a new flavor, but his the 21 Crimes.
Yeah, like a new line of it.
He's
or
got
whatever,
his Cali. He got his Cali Red.
Mm-hmm.
Now he has a rosé.
Okay.
So she was talking about that, and she goes, "For Shizzle, my nizzle."
Okay.
She got fired.
Really?
Yeah, she got fired for
That's
that.
That's like a popular saying for
and it's part of one of his songs, right?
Yeah,
but
it's also like a pop culture. Like a phrase, like it's phrase, understood. Yeah. Like I don't even know what the word is. Like yeah, but it's
no, man. She got fired
for what? What was the offense?
Because that means like
for Shizzle my N-word.
Yeah, essentially.
I mean,
it's because of what it means, I guess, and you ain't supposed.
But it doesn't mean that. So like, certain the intent, like it doesn't. Like I understand the N-word in like a the hard R context, right?
Right.
But in that context, even Snoop Dogg, he means it as like my dude, my homie, my boy, my whatever, right? And she's not using the actual word, and so it is sort of like a replacement. Wouldn't you prefer that?
Yeah, but I know that, and you know that, and people in the culture
and
know
some
that.
white guy that fired her doesn't know that.
But
probably,
perhaps,
I guess,
but then there should be somebody there to kind of like even regulate that person.
Or is it is it a minority that fired her? That's like I don't know.
I don't
even. It
right?
doesn't even matter.
Are there just things that even phrases within pop culture that you can't say because you're a certain race?
I just think yeah, man, you're gonna run out of words inevitably. Yeah. Like I think the intent. Like I hate that we just don't look at the intent. And then there's some words that are obvious that you're like, I could have made a better decision. But shouldn't the idea be to educate in that state and not just fire somebody?
Right. And so that's one of the reasons why I gave Whoopi. So Whoopi not only didn't get fired from her job on The View, but she came to the defense of this weather woman, and basically was like, yo, like we're not like just because we're on TV doesn't mean that we're perfect. And unless you guys are willing to give us some kind of book that says, hey, here's all the shit that you can't say, like sometimes we're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And so we need to be allowed not only to make the mistakes, but also to own them. And if we feel necessary, apologize for them.
Yeah.
Right.
And then grow and learn or not.
Grow and learn. Right. Now, this Mississippi woman, her name was Barbie Bassett.
Man, what? That's also fucking Mississippi. I love that shit. Yo, get them, Barbie.
Well, as I read,
and she's a weather girl.
A weather girl.
Goddamn right, Barbie.
And so, what I also read that back in October of last year, she had to issue a public apology because she referred to one of her colleagues, this black reporter, his grandmother, as grandmammy.
I love that shit. Barbie sound like somebody who would say
We
that.
want to hang.
Yeah, bro. She sound like a dope hang. Barbie Bassett, bro. If that's not some fucking Who Framed Roger Rabbit ass name.
Dude, I want to say she's old.
She probably is,
I
but
wanna
that's
say
what I'm
she's
saying.
old,
But the
but-
name itself, it screams Mississippi. She sound like a good hang. Grandmammy, like, dude, isn't that like sort of, if she's using that with her colleague has probably used that word around her. I'm going to guess, maybe in reference
I have
to it.
no idea, man.
Wouldn't it be looked at as
sometimes-
endearment? I don't know. Like,
Yeah, and again, like intent matters, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, man, we're in this weird time right now, dude, where like, man, what was okay yesterday is not okay today, dude. I saw something recently, man, and it was like reruns of the old Wayans Brothers show with Sean and Marlon,
I love that show.
and yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
So in this episode, one of the Sean Marlon dressed up as like a kung fu, like a typical stereotypical kung fu guy.
Okay.
Right? With
Yeah.
with the get up, with the slippers, with the split toe.
Yep.
Right?
I know exactly what
He got
you're
the-
talking
he got
about.
the- he-
got the
you
fucked
do?
up
He got the
tattoo,
mustache.
Is it the one where he does
Then when
teeth?
it hangs down.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right? And I was watching that show and I was going, fuck, man, I don't think you could do that today.
You mean the same guys that did White Chicks did? No, probably not.
I don't think you could.
No, probably not, because we're again.
We're just overly
we're just
sensitive
overly
right now,
sensitive
man.
about
It's just
it.
like we don't have enough shit to
Are
worry
we
about.
though? Is it sensitivity, or is it just we're overstimulated and over, like, I don't know, I always go back to the life's too good. Like, is it that? Like,
Well, that's-
are we actually offended by, like, if you actually
That's part of it,
Yeah.
though, right? Like you don't have other things to worry about, so you invent shit that's bad.
But I always wonder, like, when you hear people online screaming and offended about something, I'm like, are you actually, though, or are you just joining the crowd? Or you know, like, or does it feel like the right thing to say? Like, does that actually bother you? Like, isn't it funny? You know, like, no part of you looks at that and goes, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, even if he was making fun of Latinos or doing what, dude, Martin, can you do fucking shenane today?
I would think you could, because remember, it's a black guy playing a black woman.
Yes, but he's not a real transgender now.
Oh yeah, but Shanae wasn't transgender. She was a
But
chick.
now you're making fun of, you know what I mean? Like, she was a chick, but now you have a man playing a chick, and like the sensitivity behind that, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't
agree
see
with
it
you.
that way. But
That's what I'm saying.
but
I agree
right.
with you. I don't see it that way, but
But you
someone
can see
would.
somebody.
Yeah,
that
absolutely,
somebody
man.
would.
He said, you just, dude. I was watching the first episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air like recently.
Okay.
And Will's character like goes off and he's like making fun of these white dudes and in a way dresses and all that shit. And I'm like, couldn't get away with that episode today, man. Like, it would be. Even the way he sort of frames black and white people was like, ooh, that might be touchy. Like, maybe he gets away with it because he's black, but
I was gonna say, is it still okay?
I think if you're a minority,
Like-
it's okay.
Right.
I think you could get away with
I
this
think
stuff.
you could still kind of get away with that.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot my thought. Like,
I just don't. Oh yeah, you're gonna be all
Sorry,
dim in the
man.
thing, man. But yeah, man, I shout out Whoopi, man, because she's like, I love that someone with her platform who's on TV every single day, and people forget, man, Whoopi's
dude,
on
that's
TV.
hard to do.
So we
bro.
have, bro. I want to say something. You and I have something like 300 hours online.
Is
of
that right?
Podcast
Yeah,
material.
you're probably
It's,
right,
it's something
bro.
like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
Like, you've got episode 138. We used to have some 2-hour ones in there,
Yep.
whatever. Hey, close, right? So over 250. We have said some stupid shit on here, like there's no doubt. Like,
Yep.
undoubtedly, we've said some wild shit. We said whatever. Whoopi's on TV every single day for 3-4 hours. How long?
I
is
don't
The
know
View?
how long that show
It's
is,
fucking
but
long.
even if it's an hour, a day,
Even if it's an hour, she's 5 hours a week. You know, whatever. I'm sure they take a week or two vacation a year. Blah,
and
blah,
they're
blah.
talking about everything.
Yeah, she's on. So she does 40 plus hours of TV a year.
Yep.
You're gonna say some stupid shit. Like, it's just, and actually, let me take that back. It's not some stupid shit. You're, like, using the word gypped. It's like we all use that word all the time. I use that shit all the
I
time.
haven't used it in a very long time, but I remember growing up as a kid, like that, like everybody said that shit. I never tied it back to gypsies.
But then who knows a gypsy, bro? Who the fuck is offended by
Tyson
gypsies?
Fury.
Yeah. Okay, that's the only guy I know. You think Tyson Fury gives a fuck if you say the word gypped? I highly doubt that the guy who's addicted to drugs and gets punched in the head for a living is like offended because you use the word gypped. Like, now you're worried about offending a group. Like, aren't gypsies, like, isn't referring to them as gypsies, or like the whole idea of a gypsy,
isn't that already
offensive? Like, they already, the lifestyle isn't necessarily conducive to a positive, like I don't know, like maybe I'm wrong, but they're like nomads and they move around.
Like drifters,
they're drifters
almost,
and stuff. Like,
right?
You're worried about offending drifters?
No, hold on, man. I gotta look this shit
like
up,
this falls into the whole,
what is
like,
a gypsy?
Like, I don't know, man. Turn the channel. Like, I think I just get infuriated with this whole thing where it's like,
All right, a member of people originating in South Asia and traditionally having an, what the hell word is that?
spell it.
Itinerant way of life.
So that's like,
and then it says living widely dispersed across Europe and North and South America,
it's a nomad.
and speaking a language, Romani, that is related to Hindi, and it says a Romani person.
Yeah, so, like, what, you think those guys are like, oh, you offended us by saying gypped on TV? Like, who the fuck is, first of all, there's none in America, and the Views watched in America. There's no gypsies in America.
That's not true.
You know,
There has to be.
I mean, but the gypsy population in America has got to be, I'm sure, pretty, like, don't we just call those people like the flower power people? Don't we just call them hippies? Isn't that what it is? Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
But do we have hippies anymore? Like, do we really have people? I guess we have the van life folks. Like,
Yeah, but that's even cool now.
yeah, 'cause I'm saying, like, who the fuck is offended? I don't know, man. I think we just look for shit to be mad
I don't know.
about.
And I guess, again,
But I'm
this
glad
this
she's
is
coming
stuff
to-
that, yeah, and so she didn't get
And I'm
fired.
glad she doubles down on shit too, where she's just like, bro, I said it, okay, like, or anything, like, even coming to the defense of this woman.
Remember, she had the thing last year with mentioning Jews. There was something Jewish that she said
I
that
can't
was
remember
kind
what it
of, I guess that was just wrong, and obviously offended some people. But listen, good thing for her. She's been able to.
Dude, I did that last week.
Really?
I said Jew last week. And then
So
when I
who-
was listening back to the podcast, we were talking about it, and I
Here?
made some comment about Jews. I think it was making a joke or something, but I made a comment about Jews. And when I listened back to it, I went, oh, fuck, because I'm ignorant. I'm like, it's Jew offensive. And so I went down this rabbit hole trying to figure out if the word Jew is offensive. It's not. And I even I even asked a Jewish person, and they said, no, that's what we're called. Like, it's not. It's kind of like the intent behind how you say it kind of thing. But
right.
Jew is literally like, no, it's just a short. It's like I'm a Jew person. Like at least this is how it's offended. The internet and Reddit seem to agree. So I went down that whole rabbit hole where it was like, I couldn't find really anything that said like, no, it's offensive, you shouldn't say it. It was more basically like your intent behind it or whatever. It's like, no, that's what we would call ourselves. Like, that's what we call ourselves. Like, so, but it's funny. I immediately went, oh fuck, am I gonna have to take that out? Like, and then I went, I'm gonna leave it in anyway, but I want to know. Like,
I did the matter of fact, listening back to last week's episode as well when I was editing it. There's the part where I go like, I think I said it really fast, where I go like, well, it's not like they said, God hates fags. Remember we were talking about that whole conversation, and I don't remember what the topic was, but listening back, I'm like, oh shit, like should I remove that? But then I listened back and I'm like, no, I said like it's not like they're saying this because like I was talking about the intent of the person. Matter of fact, it was the hockey player, right?
Yeah.
But dude, like you never know what's gonna offend, and when we edit, we try to keep it as non-offensive, I guess, as possible, but also understanding that, like for the listeners, like we're just two friends talking in a closed room,
and we're
talking about how we normally, right,
and then how everybody talks when they're not on Twitter or like they're not worried about perception or whatever, like like there isn't an audience.
Yeah,
like
we try to keep it as authentic as possible.
Exactly, man. So I shout out to her, but I hope that more people start to take this stance because it's the only way it sort of goes away. Because honestly, at the end of the day, the whole cancel culture thing or whatever, it is kind of like made up. Like if you do kind of ignore it, it does just go away. Like it's only as big as the attention we keep giving it.
Right.
Yeah,
all the shit goes away.
Yeah, it all just goes away. Like I think if people just keep moving forward and they're just like, all right, cute, and keep doing their thing. You know, like Chappelle's a great example of that. You know, any comedian like Jesselnick is really a good example of that. Like Jesselnick just does whatever the fuck he wants. You never hear him responding.
His
to
comedy is offensive.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
By design.
By design. Yeah, dude, Tosh. Yeah, dude, think about Daniel Tosh's jokes. Daniel Tosh he doesn't give a fuck. He says the craziest shit, and his intent isn't to be crazy or salacious or whatever, but it is to sort of like make you think and has this perspective, and it is funny. So I feel like the more we just sort of like disregard it and just keep on going with our lives, like I think eventually this is just go away, man. Yep. Drop a nuke. It's like when Putin, who's like whatever if you believe the shit that he's like on his deathbed from some disease or whatever, and he just decides to drop a nuke, I think we'll stop getting offended by shit. And
he put nukes, right? Like he put nukes in Belarus.
I think so. But listen, man, I don't feel great. I've seen how their equipment is working against Ukraine. I'm like, shit's not getting across the river, fam.
That's why they give it to somebody else to drop.
Yeah. Hey, see what y'all can do with this. Our slingshot died 100 yards down. Shit, man.
All right, man, what you got?
Yo, man, I got a cool story. That I'm normally the asshole of a bunch, but I'm giving my carbon footprint to the LA Dodgers, man. And this is something that they've done sort of under the radar. It became a story now on Insider, but it's something that's been going on for about 5 years now. And I think just in this climate and given recent events and all that, like I'm like, this may just be making an impact on this one person's life.
Okay.
Or maybe it's something that they do for other people, but it is impactful. And it just shows, I think, as an organization that they do care about someone. So they had this player named Andrew Toles, who hasn't played for them since 2018. And he actually had a nice little run when they were that year, I think in 2018, when they made that run in the National League Championship. He sort of caught a little bit of celebrity there because he had a great series there.
Okay.
But anyway, Andrew Toles hasn't played for them since then, has since been out of baseball. He has been diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder.
Oh, fuck.
And so like he has been found in dumpsters behind buildings in Key West, just roaming the streets. So he's been arrested. So he's like in his dad's care, and his dad's the one that came out and said like, yeah, he had been diagnosed with all these things. Dude, the Dodgers have kept him. They give him a contract every year worth $0, but only so that he can stay on their health care, so he can continue to get treatment and anything else that he needs.
Wow,
and I just saw that story, man, and it when I first read it, man, it did kind of choke me up because I went, fuck, man, like a guy that when I'm reading his dad's, like, like as a parent, his dad's like, yeah, man, this is, his dad had like that positive, like, nothing, God wouldn't give us anything we can't handle kind of thing, right? But then he's also like, these are tough times. Like, this is like, he goes like, he can't even watch TV.
It's like, he don't give us anything we can't handle. But he sure pushes us to the limit.
Yeah, he trying though. But we say not today, Lord. Just keep, bro. This guy, man, is like he goes on to say that like this guy can't even watch TV because
pressing his luck.
If the Lord see fit, he's trying to fit it. He like let's go,
Lord. Don't make me come up there.
Bro, that shit is the saying. Anytime I hear somebody say that, I'm like, oof. Well, goddamn, they really tested your ass. Like, he wouldn't give us anything I can handle.
May he never test me like that.
But anytime like, I heard somebody say, like, he wouldn't give me anything I can handle, I'm like, there's some dead people thinking the same thing right now.
I heard Martha say that shit a week before she died.
Shit did not work.
I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
But anyway, but his dad, man, like, speaking on his condition, his dad has said that he can't even watch TV because he can't differentiate the voices in his head between what's the TV and what are just the voices in his head. And so watching TV is confusing. He goes like, I've caught him watching baseball like on his laptop, but he doesn't get it. He's like, he walks around in sort of like zombie state all the time.
Oh, wow.
And he's just like, and then obviously with the bipolar disorder, he's like, he has these sort of outbursts and was like, he's literally just not all there. And so just to hear that the Dodgers, and listen, I don't know if they're if he's taking advantage of these services or not, but it was basically they have just continued to give him. I'm gonna assume they do. I think the dad sort of just talked about how they've been trying to work through it and get him all the help he can, but they just keep giving him $0 contracts, literally just so that he can stay on their health insurance.
That's crazy, man. And health insurance is so huge for a lot of people, right? I mean, even for us and anybody that works and has a family. So shout out to the Dodgers for that, man. That is amazing, dude. When you said schizophrenia, it just right away reminded me of, you ever seen the movie A Beautiful Mind?
Yeah.
And where, it's so good. If you guys haven't seen that, Russell Crowe plays a guy who essentially has schizophrenia. I don't want to ruin the movie, right? But I'm about to ruin it. Yeah. Essentially, he is going through life and he has these 3 people in his life, and then as he goes to the movie, he talks to them, he hangs out with them, he works with them, like all this stuff, and then they turn out to not be real. Yeah. And then he comes to a realization of that holy shit, like they're right, like my wife is right, that they're not real. And there's a way that he comes to that realization. But even when he realizes they're not real, they never go away. Yeah. So he has to learn how to live with these people that he not only hears, but he also sees. And he has to learn to ignore them. Just cool. It's just nuts. It's
you're living with ghosts. You know what I mean? Like it's
ghosts that talk to you.
That talk to you and engage with you.
Engage, right.
And it's like your subconscious, and so like they're probably taunting you and wanting to get your attention. And because I'm assuming, listen, I don't know a lot about schizophrenia, but the more you probably try to ignore it, the more it tries to get your attention. You know what I mean? Like because now you're sort of acknowledging its existence, and so it's like, dude. And any kind of like, I'm always sort of in like, I don't know if in awe or just like, anytime I think about people with like mental disorders and stuff like that, man, I do have like a different level of empathy, because I go, like we always joke around like crazy people don't know they're crazy. Like it's a joke that I always make, but it's also so true where like, and you watch people go through this stuff where you just go, man, I don't know what that's like, but that has to suck, dude. Right. Like it just or not, right? Because you're so into it that like maybe you just don't know life any differently, but it's also like maybe costing you. Like this guy, it's costing him a major league career, right, and probably a life, with everything he's ever wanted. And, like I'm sure this affects his personal relationships, not just, money and career and all that aside, like it's probably difficult to build a relationship with someone. And it's probably, like just to do normal things, like things that we take for granted every day. And so whenever you see, whenever I see like anyone with that sort of mental illness, I'm like, man, like, fuck, what's that like? Like, it's just because
I never asked, bro, because I don't want to know.
No, like, but it's mean? Just, it's got to be such a taunting, because like if you have a disease, man, it's like, if you have like some kind of other illness, right, like a physical ailment, it isn't, I guess it isn't shaping your perception of like the moment. It isn't sort of impacting, like it impacts your relationships and all that stuff in a different way, right? Like you might be bitter, you might be angry, you just might be too tired to do things, you might be all this and that, but it isn't like talking to you and influencing you, and like it just molds you differently. I feel like when it's a mental disorder, when you don't know, you know what I mean? Yep. Like when you don't know to tell yourself like, yo, shut the fuck up, like that's not real, like it's just so yeah, man, when I saw the story about the Dodgers, dude, I was like, wow, man, like what just a small thing that for them it's probably, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe, maybe they do this for other people. Maybe there's other teams that do this. I don't know, but I just thought it was like, wow, it's just something, like you said, something so simple. How many homeless people do you see all the time that just don't get the help they need? And, this guy, thankfully he has his like family, like his dad involved in helping take care of him and stuff. But then also to have access to get, whether it's medication or therapy or whatever, like.
I wonder, so I'm assuming he wasn't diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar.
He didn't find out, it seems like, until later on, or didn't.
So like while he was in his career,
either didn't know about it or didn't manifest itself.
And then how does that prevent you from, in this case, playing baseball?
Somebody call for the fly ball that you're chasing. I got it. You back out the way. You can't be dropping fly balls, bro.
Somebody call a strike. You just walk back to the dugout.
Dude, I'm guessing if they say he's like in a zombie-like state. Now I don't know if that's medication induced, and maybe
Right.
that's what he means, or maybe that's just where he is all the time. And so I'm gonna imagine that he's got no motivation and no.
So
you know,
did that just like happen almost like overnight? I wonder, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
I'd be
did
curious
that
to see,
gradually
man.
come on?
Or maybe it's something he's always had and it got progressively worse, or he didn't know. You know, like if you're schizophrenic, man, and you're hearing shit all the time. Like it's funny, man. I've met people who have like siblings or like family members with schizophrenia,
Yeah.
and they're like, they're fine sort of until they're not, and then they're like picking fights with you and doing stuff, or like you know you might have pissed off their friend or whatever. They're like, it's just never the same thing. Like it's just all kinds of like they just go off and they just don't know what to do about it, and then they strongly believe that these people exist, right? Or these people are telling them to do things, or you know that thing might convince you like, yo, Sean hates you, like, and they might just be talking like, he hates you, like jump over, like you got to jump over the table, man, he's about to do it, you know, like it's just like the stories you hear are just like nuts. Where
That's
you go,
nuts, dude.
and then you hear people who are like, man, I just thought I had a buddy to hang, like you said, like in that A Beautiful Mind movie, like for him, they were just like,
No, but you're right. He had the guy that was his college roommate.
yeah.
That was his buddy.
That was his buddy. And so like, and you know, and so maybe you're kind of like, oh, this is cool. Like I always gotta, you know, it's the whole imaginary friend thing, right? Like,
Yeah, and
literally.
that's what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's crazy, dude. So, you know, I think with the whole mental health thing in the news sort of like front and center these days, and then, you know, like his dad talking about sort of his state and just being like that right now, I thought it was like a cool story and just cool to bring light to it. This week, man.
Now you said, man, you said a little while ago that he's kind of walks around like a zombie. It just reminded me. I had a story here about there's this new drug, like this new street drug that mixes a drug or mixes an opioid, and in this case, or in most cases, it's fentanyl, and this other drug that's approved for animals. It's called xylazine, XYLAZINE.
Okay.
And the videos of people that are on this shit, dude, they're like zombies, like real life, kind of like what you see in the movies. Like some of them are contorting their bodies.
What?
They're like unresponsive, but like walking around like in weird positions, or they're just fucking passed out.
So what's the appeal?
I think it just
The high?
the high, obviously. Like, almost, I mean, what's the appeal to heroin, right? Like, there's a lot of heroin addicts, and that shit usually just puts you to sleep.
Yo, I've never met a heroin addict that didn't fucking love that shit even after they were off. For real, man.
Really?
Bro, I've on more than one occasion have spoken to like people who like say they used to be addicted to heroin or maybe still indulge, and all of them say there's nothing fucking like it, and that they chase, and the reason they become addicts is because they're like, I don't know if it's a euphoric thing for the first time your body's maybe releasing these endorphins and stuff. You do it, but they're like, the shitty part is it never feels the same after the first time. But you're chasing that first high, and it, like more than one person has told me this. They're
But
like,
you probably get close every time.
right, you're getting close, but they're like, but it's never the same, and so you're always in this state of like, oh, this next time. They're like, it's so good the first time,
Right?
that you just they're like, you never hear someone who's like, I did heroin once, I didn't like it. They're like, it's like it just consumes you. Like you're just constantly in this fucking thing of like, I want to feel that way again, and they're like, and you're chasing that euphoric. And I'm just like, fuck, man, I don't want anything like
Wow.
I don't even. That's one of those things where I'm like, I ain't even trying it. I'm good.
I knew a dude back in the day, man, that did crack. And I remember asking him, like, man, what's that like? And I growing up in New York in the '80s was like that crack epidemic.
Yeah.
You know, that was insane.
It's cocaine for poor people, right? Like,
Yeah, well,
like,
it is
yeah.
exactly what it is. And so, but I remember him, and it's one of those things that just sticks with me in my mind. He told me, he's like, it's the best high in the last 5 minutes. And then it immediately made sense to me. I was like, oh, well, okay. So then you're just going, okay, well, it's just 5 minutes. I need to hit that again because I want to feel that way for a while. And
but
then
it's 5 minutes, so you just keep.
so you just keep doing it.
Yeesh, man. Dude, that's who the fuck found out that this animal drug? And
Yeah,
this all stuff, like,
that's a great
who's
fucking
sitting around-
question, man. I have no idea. But what I did see was that this shit has a side effect, and the side effect is rotting flesh
Oh, like actual.
Yeah, so like this thing like provokes like ulcers and like abscesses on your skin.
Oh, so it's like legit zombie.
It's like it looks. Yeah, that's why they're calling it like the zombie drug.
Fuck, it's like the bath salts from a couple years ago where people were doing bath salts and like eating each other's faces off and shit. You remember?
Yeah, I do remember that. But the videos, man, it's just so disturbing. It looks like a movie. I think, and I want to say the video I saw was like in Philly, and it just showed almost like, but before we got on air, you described like a homeless scene.
Yeah.
Here in Orlando.
Yeah.
And that was reminiscent to what I saw in the video. Where it was just like this row of people, but they weren't like in. They weren't like in sleeping bags. They were just like broad daylight, just like zoned out, man.
Fuck, man. Dude, who comes up with shit like that? It's like, what are you chasing? What is not available now that you're like, or is it just accessibility to certain chemicals that you're like, okay, we got to make something easily accessible that we can make because it's so hard to get.
Yeah, and then I imagine fentanyl is probably pretty easy to get. I don't know what that shit costs or anything like that, but it's got to be, as much as it's in the news and people dying from it and whatever, it must be really accessible.
I mean, with the whole opioid crisis going on here now and all that, I don't know. I guess for drugs, right, from a business standpoint, like the biggest, I would guess, cost or the biggest hurdle to drugs is logistics, right? Like importing drugs from wherever you make them and then getting distribution and yada yada. So if you find these things that are easily accessible that you can sort of put together in a apartment, in a sink, then that's going to be the thing that sort of, is it that? I don't know, or is it chasing a specific feeling that you don't feel from everything else?
Be,
like,
man.
what is
I mean, I think it's kind of like any addiction, right? Like gambling is even an addiction, and it's one of the most lucrative businesses in the U.S., right? So, drugs are no different, man. They give you those dopamine hits, and these feelings that you continuously chase.
It's funny, man. That self-awareness has kept me from trying hard drugs because I do have sort of like an addictive personality.
Yep.
And I'm self-aware enough to know that like I don't want to try any of that shit because I'm afraid I will like it. Like in some ways I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't if I never know what it's like, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I'm okay. Yep. Like I don't really, and then obviously just the appeal. Nothing about it was just like appealing to me, but I've always had like this fear of like I do have like this addictive personality that when I get into something, I really get into it. It can be good or bad, right? It's just that my focus could be, diverted to something that isn't necessarily like productive or positive, I guess. So it's I've always kind of just managed to. I'm good. Like, I'm like,
you can have.
Yeah, give me the shrooms. I want to do ayahuasca, all that shit. Like, I'm down for that. Give me some psilocybin, all that. I'm like, I'll test that.
Are they doing the ayahuasca here in the States, or do you have to go? You have to go down the country, right?
You can still do it in the States, but I don't know that you can like
not
order it online, and have someone show up at your door.
No, they always say that it's more like it's better if you go to like a shaman.
Yeah, like a shaman. Right? Yeah, which is what I think if I ever did something like that, that's what I would want to do. I would want to.
You want to control the environment.
That, and then like I want the whole experience of it, man. I want the like, what, are we supposed to be out in a tent in the middle of nowhere? Is it just some empty house somewhere? Like whatever. Like I do want whatever the shaman person I guess recommends is like the thing to do. I'm like, do that. Like I want the full blown, because if it's gonna be a shitty experience, I want it to be an authentic shitty experience, like in the whole sense. Like if I hate it, then I'm like, all right, cool, but I did it the whole way. I never want to be like, yeah, but I did it in a bedroom in a house or in the back. You know what I mean? Like I just want to be like, I just committed to it and this was the whole purpose, and it sucked or whatever. It was great, but I feel like I would want to give into the whole whatever the recommendation is for these quote unquote professionals.
One day, bro. One day. Let me tell you who needed.
We doing a podcast from a tent,
right?
I'm telling you right now.
Let me tell you who probably needed a fucking ayahuasca trip.
Who's this, man?
Audrey Elizabeth. Audrey Elizabeth Hale. That's her name. For those of you who saw this is the Nashville shooter.
Oh, okay. It's funny, I didn't even know her name.
Yeah, see? Now this one, obviously she for those of you who have not have any access to the news, which I'm sure all of you have probably, or most of you have heard about this. This person goes into an elementary school and kills 3 kids and 3 adults. I think it was the principal. I want to say it was a janitor, I believe, and maybe a security guard. I can't remember. But she killed 6 people. Now, this is tragic. but man, I couldn't help it. The first thing that I thought, I go, oh shit, like women are doing this too.
Yeah. And then
it's
so funny. I went, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, but then I go, oh wait a minute, it's a guy.
Yep. Or is it?
Right. So then I found out that it is a female. Oh, sorry, it's a biological female.
Right.
Transgender. It was a guy. So transgender into a guy. But then I was going like,
where does
why
that fall into the stats?
Is Audrey? I mean, isn't Audrey a girl's name?
So what, they're calling her by the government name, maybe, or by the
I don't know.
birth given name,
maybe the birth given name. I don't know because she was 28, or
Yeah,
he.
so you'd
sorry,
assume
he was 28.
Yeah, I don't even. Bro,
Well, we don't know.
I'm not giving him.
I don't know what we
respect.
got. I was gonna say I don't know what to call him.
Listen, I think the transgender community is okay with us calling him, calling her, or just disrespecting them. This is not the poster child they wanted, bro. This be like black people, instead of getting Martin Luther King, they get like a serial killer, and they're like, fuck, never gonna get, we're never making progress.
What was funny, man, was on social media. Obviously, when different, because they released the footage from the school, the footage from the body cam from the cops. So all of that's out there, and then of course, the internet goes nuts and making comments. You'd be surprised on how many people were defending this person's right to be called by their proper pronouns.
In the grand scheme of all this shit,
yes. I was just like, wow,
I would
man.
think that even
just
the
be quiet.
I would think, bro, even Caitlyn Jenner's like, that bitch.
Or you figure, like, in this case, you just go like, no. We all going to be quiet right now.
Yeah, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
I think that's the best move.
We're not claiming this one.
No, you can't. You got to lay back in the cut, bro, and watch how it plays out. Because, this is the one thing, we don't need... People only need one excuse to be like, see, that's why I don't fuck with these transgenders.
Oh, the fucking hockey guy.
Nah, like, you see why I wear that shirt? I told y'all these motherfuckers is crazy.
Oh,
Bro,
man.
like,
we should have had that story this week.
Oh, my God, yeah. He's been like, but this is why.
So those of you that didn't listen last week, there was a NHL guy who refused to wear like this. He plays for the Sharks, and they were doing like a Pride night or something, and he refused to wear the Pride Sharks jersey, which is like a pregame thing. Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been good to go together.
Oh, man.
But no, it does it, right? And when shit like this happens...
it fucks it up for the community. Especially if you're a marginalized group, right? Like, if you're a marginalized group that is hoping to make progress.
You're like, see, they got mental issues.
Yeah, we're all too stupid to be like... we all go, he's fucking... like, we're all guilty of that shit, right?
Yep.
Of, like, now you become the representative, the poster child for the entire team. So, unfortunately, now anytime somebody says transgender, I'm like, can't fuck with them. They got bad habits. Like, man, fuck, man. We make jokes, but that shit is...
Oh, it's tragic,
Oh, my
man.
God,
like,
man.
And then she's 28 years old going into an elementary school that she actually attended.
Yeah, who the fuck is angry for that long, bro?
That's what I'm saying. And I don't even know if I think it was a Christian school, right?
Yeah, it was a Christian or a Catholic private school.
Yeah.
And that they attended. Now, I don't know if this school runs through high school. And so, okay.
Or at least first through eighth or something like that, right?
Right. Like, so, but best case scenario, they left 10 years ago. Right?
Yeah.
On a worst case scenario, they've been gone from that school for 18 years or whatever, 10 or 11 years old, they left. Like, who the fuck thinks about high school or anything for that long? Like, I couldn't tell you we were talking about this before, like, I couldn't tell you a single day in high school, like, front to back, or like, I'm sure people have shitty experiences and you remember a moment or whatever, but like, none of that shit impacts me now. I don't think about any of it. Like, if you're still thinking about that, like, you've clearly have like a lot of space that you need to fill in your life between here and then that has sort of prevented you from being able to move on. Like, there's something there that, I'm not a fucking therapist, but something there hasn't let you like move on with your life. And so if you're this person, and maybe it's the transgender thing where they felt like, obviously we know where the religious stance is on some of this stuff. Like, are you holding on to that grudge for 10 years?
Yeah.
Like, but
and I wonder if that's part of it, right? If you did you go to a Christian school that maybe preached that being gay or transgender or being part of that community was, against, was a sin, or, against God's will or what have you. Again, I don't know if they
But even if it was
that,
like,
but still, right, you should be able to move past at some point.
You're an adult. You're responsible for how you get over shit, bro. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Like you can't, like I was, we always shit all the time. Like you can't help what happened to you as a child and your upbringing or whatever. You are 100% responsible for how the fuck you deal with that, like after the fact. So like, and then, going into what we were talking about before, like, is it mental illness? Like, then cool, get help. But I wonder, right, like in the transgender community, you almost can't, like, this is Ben Shapiro's thing, right, is that this is like gender dysmorphia. And like, so there's this narrative that like you're transgender, you actually have this mental disorder that allows you to believe this way. Right now, I don't know. I've never done this research.
And there's a lot of that stuff too with like, and then I think what doesn't really help kind of that case is the fact that there's people that are like transracial. And what's the other one where people think that they're like that they should be crippled?
Yes,
or
transabled. I think something like that.
Yeah, right. So like, where does it end? Right? Like, do you think that you're a dog?
And so is that a mental disorder? Right? Like, if you're those people, are you just taking advantage, or is that a mental disorder? Now, I think the answer is some of it. Right? Like, but we can't have that discourse, right? Because automatically you're transphobic or you're transablephobic or whatever the fuck. Though, like, the sad shit there. So like, the reason you can't have that narrative is the same reason these things aren't going away ever. Like, the reason, like, I saw this shit and I try to avoid it because, again, man, I didn't treat this any differently than any other school shooting when I initially saw it. I saw the headline. I'm like, oh, sad. And then just kept scrolling, did my thing. And then obviously then the news plastered me and social media plastered me with like the pictures of the kids and then the headlines over and over.
Right.
And when I saw the picture of the kids, man, it's fucking gutting because I have a 9-year-old, right? And so I'm like,
yeah, bro, shit,
man. Like, I already feel like crap when my kids are telling me that they had like the active intruder drill.
Oh yeah.
And and you're like, fuck, man, you've got to do this in school now, not high school. You have to do this in school now, where you pretend that there's an intruder and you go through a drill just like you would for a fire or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's fucking heartbreaking. Like, and then you go, I get the phone calls from the schools all the time where it's like the school's on lockdown or whatever. And so like, it's crazy that you hear that, and it used to be like, oh, there's a nut job loose in the area and they would close down schools, whatever, because the cops are trying to catch him and they want to make sure he doesn't get into a school, right? Like somebody robs a liquor store. Now you're like, oh, fuck, is my kid's school like getting shot up? Is someone, thing? Like, and this isn't like a, once a year or once a thing. This is like every couple of weeks, you know what I mean? Or once a week or whatever. Like, it's very common for you to get these alerts. And I know that a lot of it is like they're over sort of maybe communicating right now because it is sort of a big deal. And it's like, we had to lock down for 5 minutes because there was a threat and we found out that it wasn't credible and whatever, and they move on. So like, as a parent, you do sort of just start to like worry, right? Because all this shit pops up all the time. And I think initially you're like, never me. That happens to other people. But then the more of these happen, you're like, well, now statistically it's becoming more and more and more possible.
Right.
And then like, I think my mind then shifted to like what we were just talking about, where I'm like, we can't even have conversations about certain things, right? Like, this person, obviously, I felt marginalized, felt like they didn't belong, had some other, I'm sure, mental disorders outside of their sort of gender identity, I'm sure, because it takes a psychopath to do some shit like this. But then I went, you can't have that discourse, that conversation about that person and maybe what they were feeling and all that. And then those conversations or those reasonings are the exact same reason you're never going to solve this school shooting thing. And in fact, it gets worse over time because, and it's our fault. I think, it's my fault. It's all of our fault, is because we're more concerned with being right and being a sort of champion for our team than we are about sort of like letting common sense prevail and making good choices for the sake of, like, the moment or the situation. We're more into like, is the red team right? Is the blue team right? Is the, like, every conversation around this, every conversation around anything is always just becomes, what do you identify as politically? And that's never going away. And I think we're, like, in a sense, I get that we're tribal. We're also, most people are cowards. It's why the sort of like the the thinkers who are outside of the box stand out, right? It's why you get these Elon Musks, and you get these like human beings that stand out, right? Because they sort of don't fall into this mold that everyone else falls into, because it is comfortable to think like your group and just follow that narrative, right? Like, how many people do we know that were like, I only vote this way because, you know, it's blue team for life, it's red team for life, it's whatever. It's like, it's a coward thing to do. And we're all guilty of it in some way, shape, or form. Like, we're more concerned about being right and yelling and whatever, instead of like getting something right for the sake of like, just like, say humanity, but just like our community. Like, you can take that down to a smaller, granular level. It's like, from a community perspective, like, we don't even care about like each other's best interests and what works for all of us. We just care about like, did my team win? And like, and that's never going away. Like, it's never going to go away. And so because that's never going away, you're never really going to get, like, we're never going to be able to have open conversations about mental health. You're never going to be able to have open conversations about gun control. You're never going to be able to have like, you know, open discourse about like, how do you sort of put people in power or in those decision-making roles who will do what's in sort of like the community's best interest and not in the best interest of their lobbyists and all that. It's just never going to happen. So like, because that's never going to happen, you're never going to solve this problem.
And I don't think it'll happen in our lifetime. But you know, you hope that society or humanity can get to that point, you know, at some time in the future.
Dude, I think when Sandy Hook happened, I think Sandy Hook was really the thing that told us we're okay. And again, this might feel like an over dramatic sort of expression. We're okay with kids dying to protect this thing that, you know, and again, listen, I don't know the answer, the gun control or whatever, right? But I think the minute you decide that losing a couple of kids is okay for anything,
right?
I think that in itself told me that was really like the beginning of the end of the argument, where I went, yeah, it's never going away, because the minute you decide that that's fine and people don't rally around that, like, how many laws have we put into place because of these small things that have happened over time? Maybe one event changes laws for everything, right? Like one event. And we've never been able to like do anything sort of impactful around this, whether it's just mass shootings, school shootings. Like, a school should be the safest place in America, right? I can't even get into the Pentagon or any other government building. Why is that safer? Like, why? Or we'll protect sort of like government secrets, quote unquote, the institution, more than we'll protect our children. And I think the minute we sort of decided that, like, it was like, okay, really the debate is over. Like, there isn't, like, it's never going away. Like, it's we're not going to fix that.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope that you would be willing to do, or at least try anything to say, okay, does this make it better?
Yeah.
But
because I don't know what the answer is, right?
No. But you're willing to try.
But I'm willing to be like, if somebody said, "Hey guys, let's give this a shot," I'd be like, "Okay, cool. Like, whatever we're doing now is not working, so fuck it. Start throwing shit at a wall, see what sticks." Right? Like, I think where I've come to realize is that like those conversations are never going to happen, because those conversations are going to happen in a space of, at least they're not going to be like productive conversations, because they're going to happen in a space of conflict, because my team has an agenda that it needs to sort of live by, right? Like, if you're a blue team, you have your agenda, and you're trying to sort of push that narrative. And if you're a red team, you have this agenda and you want to push that narrative. And if you're the quote unquote independent team or green party or whatever, like, you have your agenda. And so everyone's just looking out in their sort of the best interests of the agenda, not of like the problem at hand. And we never look at things as like the problem at hand. We look at things as like, what's best for my group, like what's best in that. And so like, I just, it just does it. I think it actually gets worse. Like you were saying before, like I think this is going to be the norm. And then do you know what's going to happen, man, is that this is going to create a divide, I think, between haves and have-nots. People with money are going to start putting their kids, they already put their kids in private schools, right? But now these private schools are going to have the money to invest in security and whatever that form that is, right? And so now it becomes this thing where like, how do I send my kids to that school? And then, like, unfortunately, I think the private sector is going to have to sort of step in and make this better. But then that means it's not available for everyone, right? It's available for, if you fit in a certain tax bracket, maybe you can afford to send your kids to a private school that has better security and better resources and better mental health, counselors and better, all of that stuff, where you just go, that becomes my only way to sort of combat this is that, maybe you do throw people through metal detectors, and maybe you do treat schools like a prison where you have to go through certain layers before you can even get in a building. And, like, it's sad, but it's like, all right, you got to start just trying shit, man, like, because whatever we're doing now isn't working, and there isn't even a conversation that's sort of moving it in any direction right now. Like,
And to close this off, the so far in 2023, statistically, or statistics, in 12 weeks of the year, 19 school shootings.
So we average more than one a year.
One a week.
One a week, sorry. Yeah, we average more than one a week. Yeah, I mean, it's not going away, man. And this is, again, and I'm guilty of this too, because I see the headline and I scroll past it, and it's become so normalized. And, there's, I guess agendas and all that stuff that maybe I'm for, that because of my voting interests, I too am guilty of putting people in power that aren't moving this conversation. It just becomes one of those things, because we're all looking out for our self-interest, and we should, to a certain respect, for certain things. But then there's others where I'm like, okay, this affects all of us. This is a common sense thing where we should all just be getting in a room and actually trying to, like, have dialogue and move something forward. Because, like I said, like, I don't even know what the answer is. I just want to see something get tried. Like, you just can't keep doing the same shit all the time, man. Like, yeah.
Dude, did you see? Actually, talk to me about first the Gwyneth Paltrow trial.
Oh, bro.
So what is going on?
Talk about elitist shit. Have you seen this is like lawsuit that Gwyneth Paltrow's had because she had a skiing accident.
Okay.
And she ran into this guy who's like a retired optometrist from the I think the army, something in the US military.
When you say she literally ran into him?
Like had a skiing accident, hit him, whatever.
Okay.
Bro, but the quotes from this fucking trial have just been hilarious.
But what's the trial?
It's the most elitist thing. Like, he's basically suing for damages because he's not the same, and he's like, can't. Bro.
So he's trying to sue her?
Yeah, he is. Bro, one of the quotes from him is like, I can't enjoy wine tastings anymore because of this accident, because it's messed up my ability to enjoy this wine. And it's full of shit like that. And I just started laughing. I'm like, this is the whitest shit I've ever heard. But also like it's not even white. It's like the most elitist lawsuit.
It's elitist shit. Yeah,
it's such an elitist lawsuit. And it's just comical. Like, even the way she's dressed, like the way the guy's dressed, like, it's just, you're going, it's the first world problems at the highest level, and it's like comical to watch this like unfold. Like, I'm like, wow, this is a trial that's literally taking TV time, and it's literally taking like people's like social media feeds and da.
I mean, wasn't the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trials similar?
Yeah, but it wasn't about like, I can't go skiing anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like an actual, the allegations there were pretty serious.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Like, this is this guy appears to be fine. And it's like more of like mental innocent. I don't know. Maybe he's fine. Allegedly, he's got some issues. But like, it's more of like the anguish that he's experiencing and all this. I'm just like, come on.
The mental
It's
anguish.
just funny. Like, I don't know, whatever. If he gets his thing or doesn't, and she's like, even her comments back or her defenses, you're just like, holy shit, man, that's a different world that we don't play in. Like,
that's nuts, man.
Yeah.
The thing with the trials, man, I saw that the Eric Holder, the guy that killed Nipsey Hussle,
yeah,
he was sentenced to, what the hell was it?
Oh, so they get
60 years to life.
Okay, so he. All right,
so he's not. Yeah, so he's not coming out.
Okay.
But what was I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know if this is the judge's place to say this, but the judge said, and I quote, after sentencing, he told him, there's a green light from all the gangs, all the people that love Nipsey Hussle. And so his life in prison is going to be hell for as long as it lasts.
Wow. I mean, he's pretty much daring people to do shit to him in there, right? Like,
I won't even say it's daring, man, but I wonder if
he kind of just knows.
He probably just knows, right? Like, he's got the, he's in with, maybe with the people that are in that run the jail, and, right? And so he's hearing things from people like that, going like, oh yeah, this guy's coming here. Oh yeah, we got him.
Yeah,
what I mean?
Which you go, okay, he has to align himself with people in his whatever and gangs that aren't, like, I guess this is how you'll find I guess the groups who are maybe okay with it, and so maybe he gets like protection in that standpoint. You ain't lasting 60 years, bro. Like, there's only so much people can do for you in that set, and you're talking about people who have nothing to lose. Somebody's getting to you, bro. Like, I mean, the judge is not wrong. I thought it was kind of cool. Like, when you said that, I'm like,
I was like, Yep,
it's real as fuck.
What I thought.
Yeah, so that's real as fuck.
I thought two things. I was like, oh wow, man, like that's kind of cool that he said that. But then I was like, is that as a judge, is that your place?
I actually feel like you should do this shit with like, you know, like molesters and all this shit. Like, just don't give them 5 years and just put them in Gen Pop, and then give them a different colored shirt or uniform or whatever. Let them know what they're in there for. And watch that shit play out.
I said different colored shirt, bro. That it just brought me back when and I wonder what they do now. When I was in the Marines boot camp, so this is 1994. If you came in, so there's a max weight that you can be at. If you come in to boot camp overweight, they give you your T-shirts. They paint white stripes across, so you get like 2 big ass white stripes for the sole purpose of when you go to the chow hall, the people that are serving you food know that you're a fat ass, that you are quote unquote fat body, and you get different shit than everybody else.
How come this woke shit don't apply to the military?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that still does that.
Bro,
it's one of those things, bro.
What are you going to do? Bro, if the U.S. military decided to put a shirt on you that said fat body, what are you canceling? Like, what are you... Oh, don't join the U.S. military because they call you names? You mean the people putting you in front of bullets?
They don't care about you.
They don't give a fuck about you. Like, yeah, man, that's fucking hilarious. Dude, throw him in there. He's not wrong, bro. People will handle his ass, man. It's like pin the tail on a donkey. They'll fuck with him for a little while, and somebody will get him eventually, man. Somebody like that, like, especially if Nipsey was beloved, like, you know, in L.A. and
I think that but he was, you know, he grew up as part of a gang, right? And then obviously he got into the music, and then started to reinvest in his neighborhood.
Yeah.
So who knows, man? You know, maybe he stopped the gang affiliation at some point. I don't know that he did, but definitely was trying to do something. But you
still had love in those streets, because even if he stopped, or even if he was still there, right? Like, he gave back to his community in a sense, right?
Yeah,
and whatever,
absolutely.
you know. So there's a sector that beloves him, but there's a sector that maybe didn't like him, and so these are the people that maybe might offer this guy some protection while he's in there, and all that. Like, you know, time will tell, man. He said he might not last a year in there. Or, you know, somebody will get him eventually, because they'll look out for him. But like you said, there's guards in there. We're just gonna be like, nah, fuck it, like, and they're gonna know. Like, somebody's gonna get to. Man, every time I talk to somebody who's been to prison, who's done like a hard time like that, and they do shit, you're like, oh, it's exactly how they tell you in movies. Like, some guard will just turn a blind eye and be like, you got 30 seconds before we have to be in there, kind of thing. It's like, make it quick. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like the kind of shit that goes on is like so normal that like, it's not an over exaggeration. Like, somebody will handle this guy, man. Yeah,
it's nuts, man. Oof. How we doing on time?
Yeah, we're hour 2, man. Hour 3 now.
All right, man. You got something you want to finish on?
Yo, I'm gonna stay in California, bro. This shit, I don't know why this shit made me mad, but I just think it's like goes into like some of the elitist shit we were talking about before, and then some of the, like, you know, the things going on right now with in terms of like the cost of living and inflation, and you know, we already have these like battles between have and have nots, and like I just saw this and I'm like, well, that's gonna drive a bigger divide. Like, California, starting April 1st, they're implementing this tax called a what is it? Like a mansion tax, I think is what it's dubbed. So it's called the mansion tax.
Oh, so it targets elite.
Yes.
Right? It targets people with, I guess, people with certain amount that they make, right?
The houses. So
it's only houses.
It's only on their houses now. So what's going to happen is every time you sell a house in California,
it's like Homestead but opposite.
Yes. Dude, and it only applies to the sale. So starting April 1st, any home that sells and it's at valued between $5 million and $8 million will pay a 4% tax to the city on the sale of that home.
Okay.
That's fucking huge. 4% is big, bro. That's a commission.
What if it's so what if it's over 8?
If it's over, no, sorry, it's 5 to 10. If it's over 10, it's 5.5% of that goes as a tax to the city.
And that's after you pay like 6% to.
Yeah, and this is in LA.
That's like the realtors.
And the purpose of the tax is to provide affordable housing, right? And so, again, it's going towards a good cause. Is this the right way? And also, should it be this high? Dude, 5.5% on $10 million. You're talking about $500,000. $550K.
Yeah.
If you talk about a $20 million home, you're talking about over $1 million in tax on that home that you're having to pay. That's fucking
crazy, that's crazy, bro. And I mean, we are in no position to buy $10 million mansions. But I could see somebody who has worked hard, throughout their life and fuck, man, even if the generation before you worked hard and you were just a recipient of it, I mean, somebody in your family, whether it was you or somebody before you, worked really hard to get to that space, and man, to have to give up that money like that just to help support somebody else. Again, this is where that argument comes in with like communism and Marxism, right? Where it's like, hey, like, shouldn't you want to do better for everyone? Shouldn't you want to give? Yeah, maybe you should, but you need to be able to do it on your own and not be forced.
And I think that's what it boils down to me. And I go, you already tax the hell out of everything else. Like, I know the whole income tax thing dominates the news when like one of these big companies doesn't pay whatever income tax.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is those companies don't get away from paying all these small taxes. Like mostly that's federally, and that's all. And not that doesn't matter, but it makes it seem like they're skating off of nothing. These people are forgetting like the tangible tax. They're forgetting real estate tax. They're forgetting, like these local business taxes. And depending on the state, like these companies undoubtedly pay a ton of money, especially in the places that they're located in taxes. They're forgetting about, the state unemployment tax and the federal unemployment tax and all, like you're taxed from every fucking angle when you run a business. And so like, okay, so at the end of the day, your income, you didn't get income tax, but you got taxed like everywhere else, right? And so it's like, it's not as cut and dry as like they got away with paying no tax. Like it's never really that simple.
It's not the headline.
No, but and so like now I'm going like, man, now this is just another thing. So I saw like there was this rush of people trying to sell their houses before including celebrities. Yeah, celebrities like I saw like Jim Carrey. And listen, maybe it's just timing. Maybe he had no, this wasn't his intent, but it just happened to be the timing. But so like Jim Carrey listed a house and he's trying to unload it. Like Mark Wahlberg, and I know he's talked about wanting to just leave LA in general. And so these guys are like with super high value homes that are just trying to get rid of it because they're like, I don't want to pay, this other $1 million. And you think about this also assumes, and it doesn't say whether or not the tax is going to be on the profit you make, but this also assumes that you're making that money off the house. Like if you bought a house for $5 million and it sold for 25, it's an easier pill to swallow. $1 million is still a lot of money, but it makes it a little bit easier to swallow. But if you paid 19 for it and you sell it for 25, it fucking sucks, man.
Yeah,
like
bro.
it's a tough thing to sell. And I just think it just creates just more animosity, and it just drives a wedge again between like haves and have-nots. And like you said, like I would rather people give to the causes that they care about, because I think we're all passionate about something. We all want to give back about something. Like I do to a degree to whatever I like you do to a degree to whatever you like, and whether that's fucking Girl Scout cookies or whether that's building a hospital, like I feel like we should all
have the choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it takes away from like the philanthropy of it all, and I know that's not what this is. It's tax, but it just seems fucking strange, man.
Yeah, so like again, taking from the poor. It's like the government playing Robin Hood.
Yeah, and it's also the
from
same.
The rich and giving to the poor.
And it's also the same government that bailed out a bank, right? So like the SVB bank, who's also paying the deposits for all these rich folks and all that stuff, and right. So there's like that double-edged sword of the. Yep. They also took care of them, so I don't know. It's just I just didn't think this is fucking necessary. Like it's just another thing where I'm like, you go, man. Like just driving a bigger wedge in between.
And yet California continues to thrive in their economy. What do they have? Like the 5th largest GDP in the world?
Yeah, they'd be, as a country.
If they were, right, they could be their own country.
I wonder, I don't know a lot. There was a mass exodus or whatever during COVID. I wonder if people are just going back and they don't care. Maybe you just chalk that up to the cost of living but then I wonder, like, does it have to start offering you upside? Like, if you're not in entertainment and, it does have great weather, but then you go, could I just go to a neighboring state? Do I go to Arizona or Nevada or anything like that doesn't have a state tax and get maybe a similar experience? If I'm not in the entertainment business where you want to have like proximity to stuff, like
right.
At what point does it just stop becoming? And I know they're just probably overpopulated, so maybe they want people to leave, and this is part of that too, because it's like the traffic sucks, the industry sucks. It's a pretty fake town. You go to Hollywood Hills,
a lot of people still live there.
A lot of people still live there, man. And so maybe this is an effort to empty it out a little bit. Like
who knows, man? Who knows, dude? Before we go, you got to hit me up with this. I'm just been intrigued by this all night. Some woman finally passing her driving test.
Shout out to this woman, yo. She, I got to get her name, man, because it's like Sun Muk Chen or some shit like that. I'm going to fuck this up. But anyway, this woman is from South Korea, and she finally passed her driving test after spending...
is it here?
No, she's in South Korea.
So she's in South Korea.
In South Korea, sorry. Okay. Yeah. She's in South Korea. She has spent over 11,000 euros, so about $13,000, $14,000 US, in getting her driver's license. And she finally succeeded after 960th attempt over 15 years at passing her driving test to get a license.
In South Korea.
Yo. Do you fucking want somebody driving who's taken that long? Like,
dude, after a while, bro, you gotta be disqualified.
Yeah, bro. I feel like
forever.
3 or 4. Like,
listen.
That's 957 too many.
Uber and Lyft will be here tomorrow.
Yeah, bro. Like,
public transportation. Yeah, and then they got that kind of money to want to drive? I mean, maybe this person
she spent that over the course of the 15 years, right?
I don't care.
So it's a lot of money.
Okay, like a G a year?
Yeah.
That's a lot, bro.
It is a lot.
To want to drive. At some point, I'm going, nah, I don't want to drive that bad.
Yeah, let's keep that bus pass popping, bro.
Yep.
There's so many Asian jokes here.
You motherfuckers can do everything else.
But they do say Asians are the worst drivers, bro. They're shitty drivers. And you got the poster child for that shit, man. Holy crap. Bro, why? You said there should be a limit to this shit, bro. Dude, anything else, are we letting you take 960 attempts at like a medical exam?
Oh, fucking
at a lawyer
bar
exam,
or some shit?
Yeah. Hell no.
There's got to be a limit, right?
I would assume. There is because there is on like CPA exams, there is on bar exams, and there's limits to like you can't take it for X amount of years. So like the fact that she was basically allowed to just keep taking it is a little wild.
Oh, you can take the Florida bar without limit.
Okay, yeah, but that's Florida. We also allowing a concealed carry now without a permit. So
it says no set limit. Most of the states in the country have no limit on the number of attempts a student can give to pass the bar exam. Yeah,
imagine your lawyer was this guy. It's like 27 attempts. Don't worry, I know that shit like the back of my
Cousin
hand.
Cousin Vinny.
Forgot about that shit.
Shout out to Joe Pesci.
Bro, do you feel better? Because you're like, oh, they know this shit. They gotta know this
They gotta know it.
Oh, man.
Yo, on that, tell them where they can find us.
Shout out to you guys, man. Thank y'all for the drinks again. If you're not following us at the Carbon Food Podcast on IG, the Carbon Food Podcast on YouTube.
Eat the cherry.
Yeah, eat the cherry. That shit is delicious. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a review through Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Let your friends know. Share it. It's funny. All our growth has been through word of mouth. Streams have been... I don't have an explanation for it, but they've started sort of creeping back up.
Really?
And that's been cool to see in the YouTube stuff. So thank you guys, man. Go hit Amazon Music, Audible, Twitter at the Carbon FP Pod. And then anywhere where you listen to your podcast, anywhere you get your audio, your music, we're on it, man.
Tell your Alexa to play the latest episode.
To play the last episode, she'll do it. And man, hopefully you guys have a good time, and we'll get your work commute, make that a little bit less stressful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as always, we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Peace.
Peace.